everyone. So today I am sowing some seeds, so I thought I would bring you along and show you how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it this way, and just chat about gardening stuff. So I've already started a set of seeds and most of them failed. So I started quite a few seeds in January. It's March now, and January, February, I was starting some seeds, and some of them worked out, but most of them did not, and I'll tell you why. The first batch actually did pretty well, and I used a seed starting mix. And then the second batch, I was like, oh, well, I don't have any seed starting mix, so I'll just use regular garden soil. And there's my cat. And it didn't work. And the other main reason I think my seedlings didn't do well is because of these trays that I bought that they are terrible, and they're very small, and they're like super flimsy, you can see. And I was like okay with buying them because they said they were made out of recycled plastic, and I was like, okay, so that's fine. But they're really terrible. But what I'm gonna do this time is reuse the bottom part that those seedlings came in, and then I'm just gonna reuse I have so many of these containers, which I'm sure all gardeners do. I have so many of these, and I have some more round ones, and I'm gonna use those. But the other thing that I'm gonna be using today, and I'll tell you why, is these compostable seed starters, because, or biodegradable, sorry. And the main reason is, I started a bunch of cucumbers, and they were actually one of the things that did really well. And as you guys probably can tell, I'm a beginner gardener, so I don't know everything, and it's a learning experience. But basically, I'm just gonna start working on these seeds here while I talk. Basically, cucumbers don't like their roots to be disturbed, and actually last year I bought several cucumber starts from a nice nursery that's near us, like a really nice local one, and they all died. And I think it's because they just don't like to be transplanted. They just don't do well, and there's just some things that don't like to be transplanted out of the containers. So the biodegradable pots can help with, you know, them not having root shock. And last year I had actually gotten a bunch of egg cartons from the Buy Nothing group, and like compostable, you know, cardboard ones, and they were just so tiny that the seeds grew out of them so fast. I cannot get this open. I'm really struggling here. I should have brought scissors, but I thought I had everything. But my dog is drinking the water. I swear she has water, but she likes to drink out of, like, she'll drink like out of the saucers and the pots, you know, and stuff. I'm like, go drink the water in your bowl. She's so silly. So what I'm using is, I'm trying this out for the first time. I thought it looked interesting, and I don't have like a seed starting mix that I'm like in love with. I've tried a couple different brands. I've tried the Jiffy one, which is the brand of these pots, and I did not like it. I started seeds in my house, and I got so many gnats in my house. It was disgusting. So these will be started outside, so I'm not that worried about gnats, but I think they're not great for your plants either. But it says eco-friendly, so I don't know. Okay, so it's a lot less plastic than buying like the bigger bags, and you know, I'm trying to not use so much plastic, but it is challenging when gardening, I think. So if you have any tips, I would love to know. But it's cocoa coir, so eco-friendliness. I haven't done a ton of research, but I don't think it's the worst, but I don't think it's the best. So, but seed starting mix, you use very little of it. So, you know, that's good. So basically what I did is I put it in this bucket here. It's a cauldron that we found. My husband found it in the trash, and I planted flowers in it last year for Halloween. And I've just added some water, and it's kind of starting to break apart. I mean, realistically, this is very smart because you don't have to ship all that water, so it you know, it cuts down on the carbon emissions. That looks pretty good. You guys want to see what it looks like? So there's what it looks like. I think this part's a little wet, so I'm gonna have to like squeeze the water out. So the other reason I'm starting in these larger containers instead of just starting in like those tiny ones is just because I'm gonna leave these outside. And I think another one of the issues with my first couple batches of seedlings, because I had this dreamy idea of I'm gonna start so many seeds and I'm gonna share them with my friends and I'm gonna give them away so that other people can grow their own food. And yeah, it just didn't work out because I just made a lot of mistakes, which, you know, that's gonna happen in gardening. That's what's gonna happen. So I made a lot of mistakes, which is, now that I'm thinking about it, this is gonna use a lot of this soil. But you know what? I'm gonna start multiple seeds in each one of these. I'm not gonna do a ton of these big ones. Just a couple. I think I'm gonna do a couple herbs in here so I can just transplant the whole thing. And I'll mostly do these biodegradable ones. But I had all these great ideas about I'm gonna start so many seeds and I'm gonna give them away, and yeah, we just make mistakes, you know? And that's kind of what I like about gardening too. It's definitely humbling. It's a humbling experience because there's so much to learn. So, and the other reason I don't want to start them in those tiny trays, like I was saying, is they just dry out so fast. Even if you put water, they're either soaking or they're like completely dry. And that's the issue I was having, because I was keeping them in my garage and because of the gnats, and I just can't deal with that in my house. Maybe if they were in a separate room. We just don't have a lot of space, to be honest. So I would love to have like a room that I had my seed starting set up and all of that, but that's just not realistic. And the lights I have are very small, so I'm gonna start these outside, and I'll put like a dome cover on them until they sprout, and make sure it doesn't get too humid in there. So there we go, got one. Let's go ahead and do some seeds in there so I can show you what I'm planting. So I have a ton of seeds. I don't think I'm gonna plant all of these today, but these are the cucumbers that I've already started, and I planted them out and they're struggling really, really bad. I planted them 2 days ago out, and they're pretty big. Like they have like 4 or 5 leaves each. And they are just really struggling. So I have those, the Early Fortune cucumbers, and then I got these Telegraph improved cucumbers. So I really want to have a lot of cucumbers this year. Last year I grew a few in a pot in our apartment, and they were the most disgusting cucumbers I've ever eaten in my life. I don't know what variety they were because someone gave me them. So they probably were pickling cucumbers and they weren't meant for eating fresh, but oh, it's like another packet. So what I'm gonna do is basically make a little tiny indentation in there, and I will do 4 of these and 6 of the other ones. So I'm making just like a little tiny indentation, and I'm just gonna put 1 seed in each, and then if they don't pop up, I'm just gonna sow them again instead of wasting seeds. I think that's one of my biggest, oh, that one got wet, so I'm gonna do 5. That's another thing that I've done a lot and I know is not the best. I have wasted so many seeds because I'm planting like 4 or 5 in each, you know, little cell, and it's just completely unnecessary, because then you just have to, you know, thin them out and trash them. So yeah, I'm trying to be more mindful about using seeds and not just like overusing them and like just like dumping them everywhere, because and some of them are very small, so they're actually really difficult to just sow one of them, but these are quite big. So yeah, all right, so we got 5 of each planted, and I'm just gonna show you what else I'm planting. When it's kind of windy. I'm just gonna show you what else I'm planting right now, just for fun. Because I'm like obsessed with seeds. I needed to readjust because my feet were falling asleep. So another thing I'm gonna start today is eggplant. So I'm excited about that. I've never grown eggplant. I got a ton of basil yesterday. I have a lemon basil that I have in my air garden, and also in the garden that I've planted, I direct sowed it. And also actually I think in one of those pots I just sowed some herb seeds in there as well. But I want to do a lot of basil this year. My plan is to have a lot of basil and to preserve some basil hopefully. So I'm gonna sow probably like 4 of these larger ones, maybe more, maybe like 6 or 7. And then I have green beans that I'm going to direct sow around my potato plants. Some zinnias. I think I will start a few of these in pots and then direct sow some more of them. Green zucchini. I'm also going to use, my dad gave me these seeds last year. I'm going to use the biodegradable pots for those to not disturb the roots. And I think I will do that with the eggplant as well. I have some more tomatoes. My toddler helped me open this pack. Isn't that nice? So I think these are, oh, here we go, Principal Boranese tomato. I think these are really good for making sauces, and that's why I got them, like tomato sauce and marinara and stuff. And then I'm gonna do some dill that I got. I just went crazy yesterday and bought like a bunch of random seeds. I really like Baker Creek seeds. I've had really good success with those, and I definitely can tell the difference between like honestly this brand is not the best, but I didn't want to make another seed order because I really wanted to get all of these sown today. So then I got soybeans, which I was excited about, and I got chives, and I'll start those in a pot as well and then move them to like another size pot, a bigger pot. And then I also got pumpkin that I've already sown out, but they've been sown for over a week and they haven't sprouted, so I'm gonna do some in pots. And my son also helped me open this one. He's so helpful. Got a crimson sweet watermelon, which I showed where I sowed these two in my last video, but neither of them have sprouted yet at all, and I just think we haven't had any rain and I'm having a hard time keeping things watered. I mean, I was hoping that it would just rain and do it for me, but yeah, so I'm gonna sow some of those just for a backup. And then I have some seeds from like shared seeds, so that's cool. One of my friends gave me this Malabar spinach, and she said to just direct sow it, so I'm gonna do that today. And then I got some loofah, and I did start loofah seedlings. They got super leggy and I had to trash them. So I'm gonna do some more loofah, and I'm actually gonna soak these or germinate them inside. And then we've got some pepper seeds that I saved, and these are marigold seeds we have a little free seed stand, so I got those there. So yeah, I have a lot of sowing to do. I just wanted to kind of share some of the things that I'm sowing and what I'm doing. Oh, and one more, echinacea from Baker Creek. So I'm gonna sow some more of these as well in the pots, but I don't want this video to be forever. I just wanted to share like some tips on seed starting, and I'm definitely no expert, so if you have any tips on starting seeds outdoors without a grow light, it's finally warm enough here, and I think it's totally warm enough to start seeds outside, because the inside setup I have is just not working out how I want it to. So yeah, if you have any advice for starting seeds inside. I did get some very successful kale and broccolis, and then a few okay tomatoes out of there, and my chamomile actually is doing great that I started inside, and now it's in a pot. So I had some success, but I'm already out here every day, and I might as well just like check on my seeds outside instead of having to go to the garage and do another place. So it's easier for me to have all my garden stuff in one spot, and I think that's like a really important thing with gardening, is to make it convenient for yourself, because if it's not, then it's easy to just not do it and to just forget about it. And like with seedlings, if you don't water them for 2 days, they can all be trash. So yeah, that's what I have when it comes to seeds. I'm gonna quickly show you guys my tomatoes, and that will be all. And I'll show you where I'm gonna sow those green beans as well. So here are all my seeds finished up, and I put the lid on that one. But what I did was I actually just wrote on the sides of the biodegradable pots so that I know what's in there, and then I stuck those labels like that. And so I tried to sow sorry, I tried to sow things that have like similar start times, like how many days it takes to germinate, in the different trays. Bell pepper I might have to move over there once these start popping up, but that's what I tried to do. All of these have a pretty like long start. Some things pop up in like 2 days, but all of these have like a pretty long waiting period. So I'm gonna have those right there next to my hose, since I'm out here almost every day anyways. They will always stay moist, and then once they pop up, we'll take the lids off and put them in the sun. But you don't want to put them in the sun with these lids on, because they get too steamy, and then yeah, you don't want to have mold or anything like that. So we're keeping them in the shade until the seeds pop up. And on those ones, to save the sticks, instead of using a stick, I just wrote on the side. So yeah, I'm excited. So I showed you all my garden last time, but I wanted to show you that I planted out these tomatoes, and I've started to mulch. It's an in process. I have my mulch over here. I started to mulch, and then my son woke up from his nap yesterday, so I didn't finish. I still need to plant my peppers out, but I'm very excited that I have my tomatoes out. And along here I have some calendula, and I'm gonna sow green beans within here, and then I'm also gonna sow some basil. I'm afraid it's gonna get shaded out a lot, but I'll probably keep the basil like up here near the calendula, and then have some green beans in there, and hopefully they'll be done by the time the tomatoes get really big. And then I also have some in grow bags. This is the one that I started, I showed last time. That's just very small and sad, but I'm very excited. And then I got one pepper over there, so I'm very excited to have those planted out, and those are all mulched, so I'm feeling good about my tomatoes, and I'm just excited. So I need to figure out what to do with my peppers, because I have no space for them. My potatoes are just taking up this entire bed, and I'm really tempted to dig them out. But so yeah, I'm really tempted to dig out those potatoes to put different things in, but I know I shouldn't do it because I've been waiting for months for them, and they've, they're popped up. You can't really see them now because I had reburied them for the freeze, but they had come up, and they're, looking good and green, but they're taking so long, like way longer than I thought, just because it's been so cold here. But I'm really tempted to like rip them out and put in my peppers there, but I know I really want to grow I really want to grow potatoes, so I'm gonna figure out the pepper situation. It'll be fine, and then hopefully by the time all my seedlings are ready to go, they can go in the bed with the potatoes, and I can interplant some stuff. So potatoes actually can be interplanted with quite a few different things, but it's questionable on peppers. Definitely not tomatoes. Do not interplant potatoes with tomatoes. They don't get along, but there's a lot of things you can interplant, so I'll be doing a lot of herbs in there. I already direct sown a few herbs in there just yesterday, but I'll be also adding more herbs in there, and some other things that go well, probably some green beans that work well with potatoes. So I'm not gonna just let that bed be, all tomatoes. Potatoes. I can't not talk. I do not have the space for that, because I am a small space gardener. And you might say, oh wow, your yard is so big. It is. It's very big. We have a lot of space, and we actually have way more space, but this is a rental house, and I cannot just put garden beds all over the place. I got these approved by my landlord, and I unfortunately can't just fill my yard with garden beds, and I also don't want to overwhelm myself, since this is my first year like gardening in a yard. I mean, I used to garden as a teenager at my parents' house, but in my own house and not in containers. So I don't want to overwhelm myself. But yeah, I still would consider myself a small space gardener because I mean, this is way more space than I've ever had. I've got these 3 raised beds. I've got that bed, which I already had from our apartment. And then I've got grow bags. And then out in the back, I built a no-dig bed as well. So I do have a lot of space compared to what I've ever had, but I would still consider myself an urban/suburban gardener because, you know, I don't have a farm. But yeah, this is what we're working with. And I just cannot wait until this is all green, and I have this dream to have cucumbers and the green beans climbing up those trellises, and I'm really hoping I can make it a reality. And that's why I want to document this, because it's just a learning journey. But that is my garden. That is the state of the garden. I will keep you all updated on the seedlings, and I would love to know what you're growing this year. All right.